under the age of 71 and 1,200 for men over the age of 71. And so when I started reading this article, I knew we needed to bring this episode to the podcast and to our viewers. You know, Charles and Erwin and I, we needed to team up to bring a episode with a deeper meaning from the beginning, from the mindset, from the discipline, from being determined that you're going to do this, and what's the benefit later on in life, and how do we continue to keep all this in balance with nutrition. And most women enter menopause with osteoporosis. This starts to happen during menopausal years, okay? Most women enter menopause between the age of 42 and 55. As the levels of estrogen, they start to drop dramatically when women undergo this rapid bone loss. I mean, your bones just start, becoming less and less. You're losing your bone. In fact, in the 10 years after menopause, women can lose 40% of their spongy inner bone and 10% of their hard outer bone. This reduces bone strength and increases a woman's risk for fracture. And so a lot of times women, I broke my hip, I broke my arm, I fell down. And so one day they just realize they're just not as mobile as they used to be. So if we know this is going to happen, what about prevention? So don't you think that we should have prevention? And so and this is really deep. And so we need to find ways to combat becoming more immobile. So everyone should take movement more seriously. It's a common misconception that once you hit adulthood, and before you hit adulthood and before you hit old age, your bones are done changing. That's not true. Your bones are always changing. Your bones are always growing. They're always all the time, unless you're really not doing what you need to do. Did you know that there are multiple types of bone, again, in the body, that we want you to understand, the inner bone and the outer bone? We want you to understand that your bones really, in order for you to do some of the things that you need to do for longevity purposes, we're going to give you some key instruments for this understanding today. I take a actual powder that I mix in my smoothies every morning, and it's called collagen. And a lot of people think collagen is just for your skin. And so, I remember this big old tub. I picked it up and I started reading it and reading it. And I was like, I just need to be sure that this collagen is not for my skin, and I'm not supposed to be making a paste. I need to understand this. So I picked it up, I read it again, and I said, you know what? This is huge. This is for your bones. So now I have a big old jar that I use every morning, and I dip the spoonful, like the little capful that you get, the measuring capful, and I put it in my smoothie every single day. Okay, and let me tell you about collagen. Let me tell you about that. It happens to be the most abundant protein in your body, playing a large role in connective tissues that make up several body parts, including tendons, ligaments, skin, muscle, and strengthen your bones. While collagen provides the framework, calcium provides a solid support. Calcium, now we're going to move to calcium. So we're working on micronutrients now. So calcium is a chemical element that's essential for living organisms, including humans. This essential chemical also happens to be the most abundant mineral in the body, with over 99% contained in bones and teeth, and the remaining 1% is in your blood. So let's go look at that bone bank again, that NSF. So what you think about that, Charles? Okay, all right. So let's go to the NSF again. Okay, we at the bone bank. Okay, so Charles is working you out, and then you're saying you can't do it. Erwin's over there trying to determine, is this about discipline? You don't have what it takes. And then we realize it's none of that. We realize that you just don't have what you need to be able to perform these tasks, and that's why. And so that's why you're hurting. You can't move. You're stiff. So here we go again. Let's rehash this. N is for movement, S is for stiffness, and F is for fracture. So let's talk about a couple of micronutrients that can help us. Number one is vitamin K2 plus D3. Okay, a lot of times when women and people, have osteoporosis, you get vitamin D3. Okay, this combination is aimed to boost your body's ability to absorb calcium into your blood and bones, along with vitamin D3, and vitamin K2 plays an important role in metabolism of calcium. Our bodies cannot produce its own calcium, which means you have to get it through diet. Magnesium also allows for proper calcium and vitamin D regulation in the body. Magnesium also has added benefits of aid in a multitude of health benefits such as fighting depression, type 2 diabetes, lowering blood pressure, preventing migraines, reducing insulin resistance, and improving PMS systems. Hello, women. So, you know what I'm talking about. So it helps with those. And one of the things that we want you to concentrate on also about that vitamin D, again, as I said before, is critical and essential in supplying the blood and bones with such, you got to have a sufficient supply of calcium. Calcium is a compound that will increase your bone density. So a lot of times you end up, your bones will be so brittle, and the next thing you know, you're breaking everything. Then you got to go for a bone density test because you're not doing, we want to see what's really going on with the bones. Important factors in making sure your muscles, heart, lungs, and brain work well is that your body can fight infection. Most of the vitamin D in your body is generated from sunlight, while only a small amount can be obtained via the diet. A lot of times, people of color, I don't want to get in the sun. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people, it's a known fact, people of color don't like to get in the sun, okay? Because they just don't like to get in the sun. But you got to get the sun. You got to get in the sun. So what if you get darker? Get in the sun anyway. It shouldn't matter to you. It shouldn't matter what happens. Get your nutrients, get in the sun, but don't get in too much sun. Don't end up burning your skin. Don't end up doing, damaging your skin. But just get the sun that you need. That's most important, that you get sun that you need. This sunlight-derived compound helps to manage the amount of calcium in your blood, bones, in your gut, and it helps cells all over the body to communicate properly. Therefore, vitamin D is an essential component in your bones' ability to absorb calcium. Per the International Osteoporosis Foundation, osteoporosis means porous bones, is a disease in which the density and quality of bone are reduced. As your bones start to become more porous and fragile, the risk of fracture is increased. Okay, so you don't want to get to this point. You don't want to get to the point that the loss of bones occurring. It's a silent progression, and you won't even know what's going on until one day something happens to you. And there are no other symptoms until the fracture actually occurs, as I told you earlier. So what do? Let's start making some deposits into the bone bank. That's the heck what we do. What you think, Erwin? Do we need to get some deposits into the bone bank?
Most definitely. I need some deposits in the bone bank myself.
Okay, so let's find out how we going to get it. Charles, should we just start telling them how we going to get some deposits in the bone bank?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's get to it. Your currency is nutrients, okay? So let's get to the bone bank. Let's talk about the currency, okay? So what can we eat, okay, for our vitamin D3 and vitamin K? Well, you can eat Chinese cabbage, kale, collard greens, turnip greens, and spinach, okay? Just listen to this. 1 cup of cooked turnip greens has about 200 milligrams of calcium, and that's 20% of your daily goal. Now, if we know we're going to eat more than 1 cup. So what about if we ate 4 cups? Well, that's 800 milligrams. That's almost what we need. So dark greens also contain vitamin K, which also has been shown to reduce the risk of osteoporosis. That's something to think about. Magnesium and potassium are also good for bones. One of the superfoods, which contain both, are sweet potatoes. And what you can do is you can bake the sweet potatoes, okay? And that's a great source to promote bone health. You can just stick a potato in the oven. And it's so good with a little bit of butter. And you don't have to add anything to it. Just stick it in the oven, cook it, take it out, and there you go. Citrus fruits. Here are some of the common citrus fruits: sweet oranges, mandarin oranges, limes, key limes, and grapefruits. Okay, we all love oranges, okay? So it's great. You can put oranges in your salad. Like me, if I wake up in the middle of the night and I want something to snack on, I either get some watermelon or I get some mandarin oranges, and and we keep them at our home. We keep mandarin oranges because I know that that's really good for my bones. Okay, another thing that people really don't know about that's really good for your bones are dried figs. They're an excellent source of dietary fiber, a wealth of essential minerals such as potassium, iron, and calcium. and also rich in health promoting bone health, antioxidants, and complex carbohydrates. So it's a lot more to figs than people know. And one of my favorites is fatty fish, because I don't like to eat meat. So fatty fish is I'll eat some fish, but not, I could leave the meat, forget the meat. And so I slowly progressed to this because I wanted to become healthier. And I started to understand how hard it is for the body to actually, your body has to work harder to be able to digest meat. Hard meat, it just has to. And, some people, I wanted to look more in terms of healthier eating choices for my body. I'm not saying for everybody else, but just for my body. So I got to eating more fatty fishes. And the reason why was because they were a great source for promoting bone boosting nutrients. Fatty fish contains vitamin D, which helps your bones use calcium. Omega-3 fatty acids, which also aid bones, and it lowers blood pressure, slows the development of plaque in your arteries, reduces triglycerides. And I know you're saying, okay, so which ones are fatty fish? Oh, salmon, lake trout, sardines, albacore tuna, which contains up to 30% of oil. And something that a lot of us were raised on was beans. We always say, if it's not beans, it's green, beans and greens. But we were all healthier when we ate like that. And beans are a great choice also to support bone health because they're rich in magnesium, fiber, and other nutrients. Incorporating this into your food intake helps with osteoporosis prevention and your health overall. Something that's really simple that you can blend up. You can put some almonds in the blender and keep blending them until they turn into almond butter. It's this easy way to boost your calcium intake. 2 tablespoons has 111 milligrams of calcium. Plus, almonds contain potassium, 240 milligrams in 2 tablespoons, as well as protein and other nutrients that play a supportive role in building strong bone. This is made from grinding out almonds. And then a lot of times people, a lot of people are changing to different type of milks. And that's is soybeans, that's one of them. Soybean milk made from soybeans, almond milk made from almonds, coconut milk made from coconuts. They provide calcium and vitamin D. And something that, a lot of people are starting to get into, tofu. Tofu is a bone building benefit. It has a half a cup. Now, just listen, it's a half a cup of tofu contains more than 860 milligrams of calcium. Tofu also contains isoflavones, which are beneficial in helping with prevention in bone disease in women after menopause. And I'm going to spell that isoflavones, ISOFLANONES. And that's beneficial in helping with the prevention in bone disease in women after menopause. So I think a lot of women should start eating tofu. And so now we're going to just briefly run over some things that you shouldn't do, okay, you should avoid these things, which are not good for bone health. Cola type sodas. They're very damaging to the bone density. One reason is there is a word I've never been able to say it, sulfuric acid. I just said it's phosphoric acid. And so that word kills me, but that's one of my words that's hard for me to pronounce. But anyway, it has this acid in it, and it's really not good for your bones, okay? And I always tell my husband, every time I see him drinking a soda, I yell at him, why are you drinking that? It's not good for your bones. It's not good for your muscles. You can't drink that soda. Don't drink it. And I'm always telling him that. He was like, okay, but don't do it. And so another one is refined sugars. And a lot of people say, have gout. If you have gout, stay away from refined sugars, okay, and carbohydrates. Stay away from that because it's going to just give inflammation. And sugar creates inflammation in bones like arthritis, things of that nature, and gout. And so you want to kind of stay away from that one and get natural sugars. And we can go into that one on another show. Charred and burned food, stay away from that. It also is inflammation also, and it's not good for your bone health. Too much salt, it may lead to loss of calcium. So stay away from eating too much salt, potato chips, and all that stuff. Leave that stuff alone. Pro-inflammatory fats, trans fats, that's one of them. Stay away from trans fats. A lot of times people have food sensitivities, but get everybody listening to this. 70% of your immune system is found in your digestive tract, and that's called a leaky gut. So if you have food sensitivities, you got to figure out how, why